Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. You see, in a civilized country, normally we have law enforcement agencies to guard the interest, property and life of common citizen. That is why you have law enforcement agency. Now my question tonight is that why law agency was formulated in India, and is that what the law agencies of India actually do? That's my question tonight. Let's get right into the show. So we are talking about law enforcement agency. So when we talk about law enforcement agencies, the first name that comes to mind is the police. Acha. In India, the Indian Police Service is constituted based on the 1861 Police Act. 1861. Now, who made this Police Act in 1861? Obviously not Indians, Britishers. Acha, when Police Act was made in 1861, do you think that act was made for police to protect people, to protect the life and property of people, of Indians? No. That's not what the priority of Britishers was either. Police Act was made in such a way that the police protects the administration, that is the Britisher, from Indians, from normal people. Now I will tell you how it is all connected. You see, this act gives a lot of power to the administrator, now the politicians, then the Britishers, to control the police. They can make the police do what they want because they control the fate line of police. Transfers, promotions, increments, suspensions, dismissal, everything they control. So when a politician controls a policeman's life, the policeman has to do exactly what his political masters say. So who appoints the commissioner of police in the city? Politician. Who appoints the director general of police in the city? Politician. Who appoints the senior inspector in a city? Politicians. So every appointment is done by the politicians. The director general of police doesn't get to appoint a senior inspector. A politician interferes there also. So unlike corporate world, it is not the managing director who appoints who is the marketing manager, who is the branch manager, who is the person. Not the managing director. It is the politicians. And the managing director is also appointed by the politicians. So everything is controlled by the politicians. Rest everybody just mans their chair. That's the flaw with the 1861 Police Act. And that is what we are seeing today. That is what we are suffering today. Okay. This is as far as police is concerned. Now let me get your notice to another very serious enforcement agency, and that is the Enforcement Directorate. Okay, now Enforcement Directorate why was Enforcement Directorate created? Enforcement Directorate was created, it's actually a multi-dimensional organization which is mandated with the task of enforcing the provision of two special fiscal laws. That is the Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is FEMA, that is of 1999, and the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. So these two major money laundering act, that is PMLA and FEMA, was supposed to be enforced by this particular directorate. It is very important and it is very powerful. And now all of a sudden, Enforcement Directorate seems to be playing a very large role. Now, Enforcement Directorate, which is supposed to ensure that, Indian economy doesn't lose money, they don't have black money, there is no PMLA, there is no money laundering and all of that, that now seems to be a tool in a politician's hand, like the police. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. I will tell you what I mean by that. You see, Enforcement Directorate action against politicians in the states, since March 2021 to February 2022. Let's just look at these figures. Okay, ED in Maharashtra, the action was 13. West Bengal 6, Bihar 2, Andhra Pradesh 2, Uttar Pradesh 2, Delhi 1, Punjab 1, Tamil Nadu 1. 13 actions, maximum Enforcement Directorate action happened in Mumbai, in Maharashtra. So you'll ask me, a big deal, yeah, Mumbai is in Maharashtra, so yeah, I mean, money laundering, Mumbai, yeah, right, होना चाहिए उधर ज़्यादा. अच्छा, ठीक है. Let me take you through some other figures. According to TV9 Marathi, according to their report, in the last 2.5 years, when Mahavikas Aghadi took over, that is when after Shiv Sena ditched Bharatiya Janata Party, joined hands with NCP and Congress Party, and Bharatiya Janata Party, being the single largest party in Maharashtra, couldn't make the government. In the last 2.5 years, 23 members of Mahavikas Aghadi were either searched or investigated or raided. 23 members by the central agencies. 23 members. Acha. And 10 of the relatives of these 20 of leaders were also raided. 10 relatives and 23 members. 23 leaders and 10 relatives were raided in the last 2.5 years. Now you will still ask me, to kya ho gaya? The politicians, they can't be raided or what? Yeah, of course you can be raided. But the problem is the raids, black marketing and whatever, PMLA and FMA, all this only Mahavikas Aghadi government members, Baba. Bharatiya Janata Party members do not do any kind of raids. They are never into any raids or searches and all that. They don't get into any raids and all that. All this Mahavikas Aghadi members. One wonders why, no? One wonders why. Acha, ठीक है. Let's even assume that is also okay. Let's assume that also is okay, because ठीक है, you will say, BJP people now very good people, but Mahavikas Aghadi are very bad people. ठीक है, चलो, let's take that as given. You see, between 2004 to 2014, there were 112 searches carried out by Enforcement Directorate. Okay, which resulted to an attachment of proceeds of crime of rupees 5,346.16 crores. Okay, and filing of 104 prosecution complaints. 112 searches, 104 prosecution complaints. Now, let's look at the number of searches from 2014 to today, 2022. From 2014 to 2022, there were 2,974 searches. From 2004 to 2014, 112 searches, and 2014 to 2022, 2,974 searches were conducted, which resulted to an attachment of proceeds of crime of 95,000 crores, that is 95,432.08 crores, and filing of 839 prosecution complaints. 839 prosecution complaints. Now, let's look at it. 2004 to 2014, 112 searches and 104 prosecution complaints. 112 searches, 104 prosecution complaints. 2014 to 2022, 2,974 searches, but only 839 prosecution complaints. Interesting. Chalo, let's go further. Let's talk about the people convicted. With all this prosecution complaint, let's talk about people convicted. From 2005, first 1/7/2005 to 28 to 2022, to last month, February, there were 3,086 searches. The number of ECIR recorded was 4,964. 4,964 economic crime information reports were recorded. Number of prosecution complaint, like I told you, filed from 2005 was 943 prosecution complaint, out of which, like I told you, I mentioned you that 104 was during 2004 to 2014 and 839 was from 2014 to 2022. So 943 complaints were registered. Prosecution complaints were registered. You know how many people actually got convicted? 23. So 3,086 search mein 23 people got convicted. You know why I wanted to talk to you about this subject? I wanted to talk to you about this subject is because I am worried about our nation. I am worried about the state of our nation. If Mahavikas Aghadi falls in Maharashtra because of ED and central agencies, then it will be the biggest disaster for our democracy, because the fact is governments shouldn't be falling because of central agency interference. That's not how governments are made and pulled down. And if it happens, then the democracy is over. If Bharatiya Janata Party comes to power in Maharashtra because they use their central agency, democracy is gone, is over from Maharashtra and from India. If Mahavikas Aghadi is thrown out by the people, then it's fine. That's the way democracy should be working. Number one. Number two is, I wonder and I'm scared that what happens tomorrow if the central agency and the state agency gets into a skirmish. What happens to our nation? What happens to our system? What happens to our democracy? What happens to our administration? What happens to our country? Whichever party you must be supporting, whichever side, your right side or left wing or right wing or whatever wing you are. The thing is, look at it from our country's perspective. Look at it from our country's perspective and look at it from our people's perspective. And most importantly, look at it from our democracy perspective. If governments are made and pulled down by central agencies, then what is your vote worth? Till I see you next time. Namaskar.